So all the drawings have been done. Sean and I went over all the measurements, made sure they were 100% right, spoke to the customer also, and now we have just started to cut up materials. We've got all the drawings that we need. We've got the stud wall drawings, we've got the top view drawings, we've got side view, panels, all of that. I'll leave pictures, but right now Sean's cut up all the materials. And they're all roughly the same looking type of grain. Okay, nice closed American oak style grain. It's just a matter of cutting them all up, machining them, assembling. But Sean is on the machining side now, so he's going to crack on doing biscuiting and pocketing on most of it. That's how it's all going to be, and I will show you a bit of progress a little bit later. So a bit of progress, we've been gluing up a few panels, we've been making stud walls. Sean has assembled 2 of the carcasses. We've kind of both jumped on that stud wall and got the choppy out, got that made up, and about to just do a little trim on this panel here. Got a little rebate there. There's that little rebate. We got a lip here. They're not matching up completely, so we just need to skim a mill off that, and then that will butt up there nicely. We also just need to take that front panel off. Do a couple of mods, but we're getting closer and closer to having the stud walls on. So for the stud walls, we're using 4x2s, and the reason we're using 4x2s is because we wanted the depth. We talked about the detail, the customer and I, how far out he wanted the backrest to be from the wall, you know, this ledge. It was about 150. So if I used thinner material such as CLS, cheaper, less wide studs, they'd only be about 68. So I was thinking, well, okay, we'll use a bigger, beefier stud to pack that out, which means I only need a 20mm void there, which is where the skirt is going to be. And I can put a batten at the top on the wall and fix my stud into that batten. It'll only be 20mm away, and we only need to do a 20mm scribe with that top cap. So hence the reason we've got the 4x2s rather than something thinner. Plus it gives it a little bit more structure, be more solid, less movement in everything. Okay, we decided to put it on the bench because we know the bench is literally as level as it can be. And we swapped it around. So we designed this unit so everything was fixed from the inside with pockets. And we kind of like didn't really think about how we were going to fix the stud wall to the seats, and then the seats down to the bearers, the leveling timbers on site. So we decided to take a few bits apart, take the fronts off and make the back fixed, and then fix the stud walls by fixing through the backings of the boxes. That's what Sean's doing right now, is fixing into the studs. And we decided that we are going to put fixings through this panel. We decided at the beginning not to, because we just thought it's a seam panel, but we've got so many slats going on, we're just going to have to put the screws, the fixings, in the right places where slats will be. So that's what we're going to do next. Just finish off the screws. Remember, this did have a panel on as well, which ran all the way through. We decided to make a cut there, put that second part of the cut, the second half on, fix it to the frame, and then that enabled us to join both carcasses together now. So those two are fixed together with fixings through the insides. So they're fixed together. The studs are now fixed to the boxes there. Sean's literally just finishing off the last few screws, and then we get the front, and then we get the front panels back on. As you can see, we've got 2 packers there in between the 2 stud frames. This frame stops at that panel, okay, and this panel, this stud runs all the way through. So the idea is this oak panel is going to sit on top of the seats, hide these fixings which we had to use to fix this down. That will sit on the top, and then it will run through past the stud, and then we're going to get the next panel and run that and butt that up to that one. And then we do have a panel, which this isn't the one, but the panel is going to go in like so to cover the stud, like so. Obviously it's going to be bigger and taller to reach to the top, and then we're going to have a cap on the top to cover the end grain of all the panels. So this panel is going to run to the top. This panel's going to run to the top, then we're going to have a cap with a strip that runs all the way around and lipping. Then on this side we're going to have a joint, obviously, but one of the slats is going to cover that, and then we've got a lipping that runs all the way across, and then slats all the way down. And yeah, in a moment this panel is going to go on to give that effect, which will give a whole panel to put these slats onto. Okay, we'll get there in a bit. There we go, panel in, slid in between those two studs. Once we get on site, we will fix through the panel into the other stud and squeeze them all together. But we've put this panel on and we've left it big in height and in width, just so we can describe to any discrepancies that we may have, and there is always a tiny little bit here and there. So we're putting the fake panel, the panel that we will put on, because remember there's going to be a little lipping on here, and we're going to scribe it. All right, everyone, so we are at the end. We are about to fit this bench tomorrow, about to load it up. We've taken it off the bench a few days ago, but we forgot to film a few bits, but I'm going to run over it all now. So hopefully you're going to understand all the details and how we made it. And yeah, hopefully you're still going to understand it all. So here we are. We've not got great light here, remember. So I think tomorrow, once it's fitted on site and it's all complete, you're going to see it all in its full glory. But we try to match the grain as best as possible. It looks a little bit pinky here, and to be honest, it has got a pink tone. Again, it's trying to match all the grain as best as possible. How many sheets did we use in the end, Sean? 3 or 4? 3 sheets of 18mm oak veneer, okay? Problems we had massively were trying to match slats. I went to so many different places to match the slats and the lippings with the backing and the seats, and it was near enough impossible. So we've had to go down the oak veneer route for the lippings and the slats. As you can see here, we've made all the slats. We'll run over why we got gaps and how they work in a moment. Also the caps that go on the top, and the lippings that run all the way around, all oak veneer, with an Osmo oil raw Pollux oil, okay? So what we've done is we made a stud wall. You would have seen that a moment ago, and it's 2 stud walls. Let's whiz around the back. There we go. All out of 4x2. I just thought it was just going to give it a lot of structure. Also, I had to span a certain distance for the cap, the ledge, because they wanted a certain distance. And if I used thinner material like a 3x2 or CLS, then I would have had to pack out with spacers. I just thought this was more solid. It was going to give us a flatter, squarer, truer unit by using solid timber. I also hunted around for the straightest pieces of 4x2s, okay? And yeah, they're not planed and prepared, but they didn't need to be. They're nice, solid, true square pieces, okay? And that has given us a nice, dark, straight wall both sides. And one just butts onto the other. As you can see, this wall will slide past, and this wall will butt up against here. And it has done. We had this clamped up. Okay, you'll see that on site. But yeah, so 2 walls, and then we've got 2 bottom boxes, 2 carcasses, very simple. See, 1 box, 2 boxes. That box runs all the way through. We then clad both boxes, okay? This panel ran all the way through first, and then we made a little cut there, left that there, so we can screw this box into something, okay? So now we can screw this side of the carcass into this, because, yeah, that panel was put in, and we left that little piece in there to be able to screw together. So we now have a way of fixing both boxes together and also both walls together. But before we clamp both walls together, we panelled this piece, ran that all the way through. Can you see the line, the oil line? Because we oiled this when it was all together. You can see how this gets clamped with this panel in place, okay? So this ran all the way through. We stopped it short, 10mm, because just in case. And then this back wall will be in line with this eventually when it's on site. And then we'll simply just fix through the side into the other side, into that stud, okay, with some screws on site. So the idea is we're going to get bearers down just like usual. If you don't know what bearers are, it's an ultimate system to level anything up really simple and easily. It will probably give us 95 to 98% of our strength with this, okay? Once the bearers are down and the unit's fixed to the bearers, it's just not going to go anywhere. We could probably just put one fixing in the corner here, one fixing in the corner there, and that'll be it. Being a corner, it'll be really tough anyway, but there we go. Here's the bearers video. Have a look at that. There's also loads of site fitting videos as well where I just show you bearers. Also, have a look at this video because that's a recent one where I went over bearers once more. We decided to make this a removable panel. It was going to be fixed, and then all our slats were going to be fixed. Then we just thought to ourselves, well, how are we going to fix the unit down to the bearers, because we need to access that point at the back. So we decided to make this removable now, okay, instead. Hence, we've left a few slats off. They are going to be glued and pinned on right at the end. We've got a couple of corner pieces here, as you can see, for the corners. So when the two panels go in, once these slats are in, the slat will butt up against the slat. Anyway, let's push this in place. Okay, so I've pushed them in ever so slightly into place. You can see the slats are now flush with the front of the bit that you sit on, the base. Okay, and that means that we can just get lipping all the way around, which will give us that detail. And here it is. Imagine that was one of the pieces we've got over there, like so on the front. And we've also got a corner piece that will go in with the correct spacing. We do have to modify this corner and make a little cutout to return, because this junction is slightly different. We've made this flush, this end. It was a little design detail that how do we make all these junctions work here. So we decided to make it flush to make this easier, this junction. But in return, we need to just cut out a little corner. Okay, it's not the right one here actually, but you get the idea. It's quite hard explaining all of this without actually putting it all together right now. That will run all the way through. Then we're going to have another slat here. Yeah, so on site you'll see the finished product there. But we do need to take a little cut out of the corner to allow this lipping to sail around the corner, okay? This is all our paperwork to make this happen, okay? We've got an inspiration photo, albeit a dodgy photocopy. We do have this picture here, which was the customer's inspiration. And then we started off by designing. Then we started off by drawing out a couple of boxes and carcasses, and then working our way to technical drawings, top view, side view. Then from there, we've got how we're going to be cutting our panels out of the sheets, where how the grain is going to be. And we've got more details of that, so we worked out the best way of cutting up our material. One thing I do want to run over is that everything is oak veneer. I did spend so much time trying to make the slats the same color as the actual oak veneer panels. Didn't want to make the oak veneer panels out of solid. It would have just been too expensive, too much work to make these big blanks out of solid. If we were to do that, then possibly all the oak would have matched, and then we could have used solid at the bottom, but it would have just brought the price up so much. So we've decided to do oak veneer all the way around to make sure it all matched. The great thing about that is it just looks all nice and uniform. Everything matches everything. It looks like it's all made out of the same timber, because technically it is. We got 3 sheets of oak veneer from the same pack. We made sure we had them stood up against the wall, chose what pieces were coming out, what sheet. Sean, am I going on a little bit? Going on a little bit. Yeah, too much detail. It's so hard just to make a video like this. And then, do you know how many stages there were to get to this point? So many, I can't remember what we did first, what we did second. But one thing we were planning to do, we were planning to make the boxes, then the walls, then the panels, and make the slats up and just take it all to site and fit it. But to be honest, that would never have worked, would it, Sean? We've done so many tweaks here and there. The wall had a tiny bit of a twist in it, so we tried to get our gaps. Yeah. I'm so glad that we had this nice ultimate workbench. We had it up there nice and true and straight and level. And then we were able to build panels and pieces off of that until we were happy. And we're just taking it off, back to fit it in the van for tomorrow. So I'll see you in a bit, guys. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.